Hello. So we are now going to be looking at chapter 6, which deals with the figures of Athena and Poseidon. Um, there we have the sort of basic layout for the chapter. So first of all, Athena. Um, Athena is the patron goddess of Athens, and as such, because of Athens' prominence in the 5th century and later, um, she gets a lot of notice. She's also very important in the mythology, helping heroes. Her birth story is unusual. The story is that Zeus gets word that the same thing that happened to Cronus could happen to him. He could have a son who would be more powerful than he. He finds out that Metis, um, whose name means practical wisdom or intelligence, um, that he's currently involved with this goddess, and that the son that she gives birth to will be more powerful than the father. So she is the potential threat. He tricks her into shrinking herself in form, and then he swallows her. The problem seems to be totally taken care of until several months later. He suffers from this awful headache. Um, Hephaestus, his son, the blacksmith, takes an axe, splits Zeus's head in half, and out pops Athena in full armor. And then she takes the armor off, indicating that she does not plan to challenge Zeus. So Zeus gains one of his most powerful, maybe his most powerful ally, and some see his time with Metis as the time where he absorbs her wisdom. So it really this works out very well for Zeus. Um, the name Glaucopus is often used for with Athena's name, so that this is an epithet you see a lot. It usually is translated as gray-eyed. Um, that seems to be the most likely translation, but it is possible that it could mean shining-eyed or bright-eyed or something like that. And gray eyes would be unusual in the Greek world. They wouldn't be unheard of, but they would be unusual, and they would be, of course, very striking. So there's something about her eyes that are noticeable. And the animal associated with her is the owl. The owl, of course, also has piercing sight. So that seems to be this. There's something special about her eyes. Um, She is generally shown wearing a helmet. Sometimes she is wearing the aegis of Zeus, which is like this poncho that has a snake border. And sometimes on that aegis there is uh, the head of Medusa. Um, she often has a shield and a spear as well. She's not usually wearing full armor, though sometimes she is wearing sort of like a leather breastplate. She is an urban goddess who oversees civic and military affairs. She is not, um, like a lot of the goddesses, she's not as directly connected to um, women's work, but rather with men's work. So here we have a black figure vase showing Athena just after birth. She is standing on Zeus's lap. Um, and there are, you can see letters off to the side. These explain who the figures are. I don't know who the figures to the right or left of Zeus, who's the one seated. Athena, of course, we've got a smaller goddess figure with a helmet that pretty much marks her off as Athena. Um, the two women to the side um, are likely sort of birth goddesses, so maybe Eileithyia and maybe some other nymph helping in this. So here in this particular vase painting, we do not have um, Hephaestus helping out with the birth. Athena is represents intelligence, but it's the intelligence of getting stuff done. She knows how to do things. This is, in other words, she is not sort of a goddess of abstract thought. She is connected with craftsmen who know how to make things, and there's a connection to Hephaestus. Myths tell of her creating the bridle, the plow, and she's also involved in shipbuilding. The Argo story, the Argo is supposed to be the first Greek ship, and she is involved in the building of the Argo. She's also involved with the building of the Trojan horse in the story of Troy. She is connected to weaving, and this is the one sort of nod to women's work. Weaving was actually a business area that women largely controlled, and so in that sense, it is an area for female independence to some extent. She is a goddess that soldiers would pray to, but she is not Ares, right? She's not the bloodlust of battle. Rather, she is the strategy behind the campaign. So she's balancing action with thought, courage with caution. She shows restraint, intelligence, and craft in war. So, like the Trojan horse, for instance, is a trick to help the Greeks win the war. Ares is about the bloodlust, right? So about those moments where you're all caught up in the killing. Athena is connected with certain heroes. She helps Heracles in a couple of his labors. The main one is the Stymphalian birds. They are on a small island in the middle of this swampy lake. Heracles can't get to them to kill them, and she gives him a rattle. This is more like one of those party favors that you twirl in your hands and it makes a sound. And that freaks the birds out. The birds then take flight from the island, and then Heracles with his bow is able to shoot them down. She gets the head of Medusa from Perseus. She helps Perseus in going after Medusa, along with Hermes. After Perseus has done what he needs to do with the head of Medusa, he uses it on a couple of adventures. He then gives that head to Athena, who puts it on the Aegis, and so you often see in vase paintings, you'll often see the Gorgon's head on the Aegis, and Athena is wearing it. The Medusa head, of course, serves as an apotropaic device. That means it's a device that wards something away. The head of Medusa in the myth would turn people to stone when they looked on it. The birth of Chrysaor and Pegasus is tied to the death of Medusa. I don't know that Athena has any direct connection with that. Medusa had been involved with Poseidon. Poseidon is connected with horses, and the winged horse Pegasus and Chrysaor, who is this beautiful golden man, come out of Medusa's neck when the head is chopped off. And by the way, Pegasus has no connection with the Perseus story other than that. So unlike the film versions where Perseus gets Pegasus as his means of transport, in the myth, his means of transport is he's got another Hermes lends him another set of winged sandals which allow him to fly through the air. Odysseus is Athena's darling, and one of the adjectives to describe him is polymathus, very clever. And there's a scene in the Odyssey in Book 13 where the two of them, Athena and Odysseus, meet and they sit together under a tree to plot. And it's a beautiful scene because you've got a hero here having a very strong personal connection with the goddess, not the goddess standing afar, but the two of them are actually sort of sitting right next to each other, almost as equals. Um, Odysseus gets the idea of the Trojan horse. Athena, in some versions, is involved in the creation of the Trojan horse. And the Trojan horse was billed as an offering to Athena so that the Trojans would take the horse into the city. Here we have a red figure vase showing Perseus chopping off the head of Medusa, who's sleeping. Here it's interesting that Perseus has got a winged helmet as well as the winged sandals. Um, the hat that Perseus gets is supposed to be the hat of Hades, which provides invisibility, so that he can sneak up on Medusa and not be seen. He gets other gifts as well. He gets a bag. He gets a highly polished shield, which allows him to see where he's going so he can chop off Medusa's head without looking directly at her. But this is clearly Athena. Then on the left, we've got a female figure with the helmet, and she is wearing the aegis. That's that little thing over her shoulders with the snaky border. Here we have Athena again wearing the aegis. You can see it there with the snaky border. She's got the helmet, and she is looks like she's decorating the Trojan horse. Poseidon is Zeus's brother, and according to one account that occurs in more than one place, after the Titans were defeated, the three drew lots to see who would get what, as the three sort of controlled the entire world. And Zeus got in the drawing of lots, Zeus came first, Poseidon came second, Hades came third, and that of course meant Zeus got first choice. He chose to be the sky god and overseeing things. Poseidon is sort of on the earthly plane god, and mainly associated with the sea, but he's also associated with earthquakes. And then Hades got the underworld, which was sort of what was left. Poseidon looks in art looks a lot like Zeus. In ancient art, he looks exactly like Zeus, pretty much, except that he's sort of meaner looking. He's sterner looking. In part, I think that's because of the volatile nature of the sea. He is connected with the sea, but he is not connected with naval strategy or shipbuilding. So that is more Athena. He's just the elemental sea. He is connected with horses. He's often shown riding a 4-horse chariot. And if you go to the plaza, if you go specifically to the intersection of Broadway and Cleaver Boulevard, there's a P.F. Chang's there. There's also a fountain there based on a fountain in Rome that has Neptune, because it's a Roman thing, Neptune coming out of the sea with riding his 4-horse chariot. He's connected with the elemental power of the sea, which of course is very changeable and it's often deadly. He's connected with earthquakes. He's the earth shaker. That's the epithet, I think, that gets used more often than any other by Homer when he talks about Poseidon. His temples are often on promontories overlooking, like near the edge of a cliff, not right at the edge, but nearby, so they look sort of out off the cliff onto the sea. He's associated with the natural world, specifically the world of the sea, sort of the violent elements of nature. Here we have a black figure vase showing Poseidon riding this weird horse-headed sea serpent.